You guys ready to get started?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I'm here and I've got some questions from you guys before the meeting, but I just wanted to cover some basics real quick for everyone, and then I'm going to go ahead and just head into those questions. This isn't going to be a long initial presentation. It's just going to be, this is kind of how PERA works. So all of you probably know that you're in a pension plan by now, hopefully, and a pension just pays you a lifetime benefit, okay, once you retire. Now, the biggest question we usually get is, how is that benefit calculated? And it's going to be based on your highest average salary, your age, and years of service. I find that highest average salary can also be something of a pain point for people. So I like to explain this not just with this slide that's super ambiguous, but I'm actually going to show you an example of what this looks like. So can you guys see this, these calculations? Is that what you're seeing? I don't know why I can't see what you guys are seeing, but.
Yeah, it's a little bit small. If you can zoom in.
It is. Yeah, let me zoom into that. Just make it a little bit bigger for you guys. Come on. No, that didn't help. All right, let me see. There we go. Okay. So most of us on the call probably fall within the 8-year spiking limit, which is basically just means, I'm sorry, not 8 year, 5 year of highest average salary, which means that we're going to average 5 of your highest earning years throughout the time of your career. And then on top of that, there's an 8% limit on salary increases. Okay, so if your salary exceeds 8%, we just basically cap it off at 8%. And this is just an example on how this works. So what we do is we're going to take that lowest year, as you can see up here, this 22, actually, let me annotate. So this is just an example. But if we take this $22,000, that's going to be the lowest of all the salaries you see, right? And then we just basically stack them for the next 5 years, okay? Because most of us, like I said, probably have a 5 highest year average salary. So what happens is we take that base year, and then let's say that next year you get a raise, but your raise is not over that threshold of 8%, then we count your whole salary, right? Let's say that the year after, your limit jumps a little bit higher, okay? So the 8% annual salary increase, you can make $25,380. That would be the maximum. But as you can see, this person, their increase went up to 24/7, and we counted all of that. Okay, so these numbers over here are the maximum salary increases that you can count. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never gotten an 8% annual increase on my regular salary unless I change jobs. So this really doesn't affect most of us. Usually most of us are going to kind of fall more into this example where our salary goes up just a little bit each year, maybe, 3%. I mean, when I was a probation officer, I didn't get a salary increase for 3 years. So it just depends, but this is how it works. And then what we do is we take that total salary and we're just going to average it by that 5 years. And that's how we get your highest average salary. This is kind of like the hardest thing for us to explain in a webinar, and that's why I love this fact sheet, because it really breaks it down. If you want to know what your highest average salary is, I really, really encourage you to just log on to your online account, because you're going to see exactly what it is. And if you feel like it's wrong, you can always call customer service and do what's called an audit on your account. And they'll either explain, this is absolutely right, or it is wrong, let's correct it. So that's how highest average salary works. I know that's a huge issue with a lot of our webinars, that people are just like, this doesn't make sense. It made no sense when I started, so I like to explain that. So that's the first part of the formula that goes into your retirement benefit. And then of course, we take into consideration your age and years of service. You earn service credit you earn a month for every month that you earn at least 80 times the minimum wage. The federal minimum wage, by the way. So the federal minimum wage was currently $7.25. So basically, as long as you earn $580 a month, you earn a month of service credit. If you did go down for like part-time and say you earned less than $580, you still earn service credit. It's just prorated. So those are the 3 tiers of what makes up your retirement benefit. And let's go ahead and get to some of the questions now that I kind of explained. Kind of the largest things that I get questions on, definitely that highest average salary is a huge one. So let me go back to my presentation here that I actually thought I was on, so I really apologize. Okay, so how do you know when you can retire? Well, you'll want to first take a look at your PERA table. If you haven't seen your PERA table, you can actually access it by going online to copera.org. And that's how you're going to know when you can retire and receive full benefits. Okay, so basically this person is on PERA table 2. I'm on PERA table 8. It is tied to when you started your PERA covered employment. Okay, just for reference, I started officially with my last PERA covered employer back in 2018, and that's why I'm on PERA table 8. But if you started earlier than that, or you know, at any time during your career earlier than that, you might be on a different PERA table. You can find that also by logging in. It'll be right underneath your name, and it'll let you know what PERA table you're on. So as you can see, the first time that this person or this PERA table would be able to retire would be at, in most cases, age 59 with at least 20 years of service credit. Now, obviously, there are some years that they can retire earlier, but as we can see, at age 59 all the way till 60, really, they're going to fall into this green area. And this is reduced retirement, guys. This means you're retiring early and you're receiving a reduction to your overall benefit. If you don't want a benefit, then you'll want to take yourself to one of these white boxes. So if this person just worked until they were 60, and at the time they were 60 had 22 years of service credit, they would get 55% of their highest average salary, and they would not be in reduced retirement anymore. Okay. Benefit. Most people, because of Medicare and other reasons, choose to wait till they're 65. And as you can see, everyone is eligible for a full benefit at age 65, no matter how many years of service credit you have. Now, the amount of your benefit or the amount of your highest average salary is going to depend on your service credit. And that is the numbers in this box. That represents the percentage of your highest average salary. Again, you can see an estimate of your benefit by logging onto your account. The next question I have here is, can we draw partial Social Security with retirement benefit? So when it comes to PERA and Social Security, one thing to understand is that your PERA benefit, and I'm sorry, I thought we might have your PERA benefit is never going to be affected by Social Security. You'll always get your full PERA benefit as long as you're retirement eligible. With Social Security, though, since you haven't been paying into Social Security and instead paying into PERA as your primary retirement income, you may have an adjustment to your Social Security. So yeah, you can draw Social Security at the same time you draw your PERA benefit. And in fact, if you've earned one, you will have a Social Security benefit. There just may be an adjustment. Now, on Social Security's website, there's a couple tools you can use. One of them is called the WEP calculator, WEP. That can help you try to understand what that adjustment might be. If that's too complicated, you can also call Social Security and they can let you know what your adjustment may be based on your PERA benefit. So I think that actually answers 2 of the questions. And then there is a question about spousal benefits. So spousal benefits work a couple of different ways. First of all, if you pass away before retirement, then as long as you have a year of service credit, your survivor benefits kick in. That's these benefits here. And this is the order that that payment is paid out. So if you're an active member and at the time you're retirement eligible when you pass away, but you're not officially retired with PERA, of course, then your spousal benefit kicks in and would pay your co-beneficiary if you had one available, if you were maybe filling out your retirement paperwork and you elected a co-beneficiary. And it would go in this order. If you didn't have a co-beneficiary, spouse, dependent children, disabled children, dependent parents. So it goes in that order. Now, if you have 1 year of service, you're not retirement eligible, say you pass away before you reach that table that we were talking about, and you're still active, then it goes in this order. So it's a little bit different when you're not retirement eligible. It'll go to your dependent children first. That's the first order, then spouse, and so on and so forth. If you have no qualified survivors, so you don't have any of these 4 people in your life for when you do pass away, or you have less than 1 year of service, it'll go to your named beneficiary. Everybody may have a named beneficiary on file right now. If you don't, you can name a named beneficiary now. And that person just receives a lump sum of your member contributions plus 100% match on those contributions at the time of your death. And don't get this confused with a co-beneficiary. A co-beneficiary is someone you select upon retirement eligibility. Named beneficiary is someone that you can elect anytime. I have 2 named beneficiaries on my account right now. So that's something that can also be done online. The last question I had here was, what is the easiest way to transfer a small IRA balance from a previous job to our PERA account? Well, really the easiest way to do that would be to roll that IRA into a PERA Plus 401k or 457 account. And actually, if it's a small IRA and it's tax deferred, you can roll it directly into a 401k or 457 account with PERA Plus. A PERA Plus 401k is a way for you to roll your balance over. And if you want to keep building on that small IRA balance, you can with contributions from your employer. So that's the easiest way to get that IRA all in one house, so to speak, if you want to bring it over to PERA and potentially keep building on it, because a little bit of an extra nest egg is never a bad thing. So that's all the questions that I got from you guys via email, but I'm definitely here and slotted for a while here. So I want to make sure I get any other questions you have. So if you do have additional questions, let me know in the chat, or if you want to speak out loud, and we'll get to them. How do we locate the tables again? So once you log onto your account at copera.org, you're going to put in your login information, and it should say like, hello, Kirsten, and right underneath your name should be your PERA table. What salary do they use as the highest salary when you start it mid-year? That's a great question. So they're still going to take your salary in 12 consecutive months. So it's okay if you started like mid-May, they're just going to count 12 consecutive months and use that as the base year. It doesn't necessarily have to be from like December to December, if that makes sense. So let's see. Brittany says, how is PERA affected by extended leave, such as taking time off for children? That's a great question, Brittany. So if you're talking about, do I still accrue service credit while I'm on leave? Well, it depends. It depends on how you're paid. So if you're on leave and you're getting like a leave check and a PERA contribution comes out of like a disability check or something like that, then yes, as long as you're making a PERA contribution, you're still earning service credit. Because remember, it's based on earning at least $580 per month or 80 times the minimum wage. So while you're on leave, talk to your HR and make sure or see if they're still taking out a PERA contribution. If they are still taking out a PERA contribution, then you'll still be accruing service credit even on leave. Candy says, do you have to be actively working at the time you choose to take your PERA retirement, or wait until you reach a certain age to begin collecting? So I guess there's two answers to that question. You do have to actually retire officially through PERA and fill out the paperwork to retire with PERA in order to start collecting a benefit. And you have to be retirement eligible. So look at your PERA table, figure out when you're retirement eligible, and that'll answer your question about do you need to reach a certain age? Yes, you'll need to be a certain age and have a certain number of years accrued in service credit in order to be eligible for retirement. Now, let's say that you leave your employer early before you're retirement eligible. Maybe like, for example, on this table, you leave your employer, you find another job at 50, and you only have 15 years of retirement. Well, obviously you're not retirement eligible yet, right? But what you could do, since you already have 5 years in PERA, is in this case that you fall into like this no benefits payable area, you could wait until you just age into the table. So for this person, the first age, and really for everybody, is age 60. Okay, so in that case, you'd have to wait. But let's say you left your employer and you're age 62, and you decide to quit, but you don't want to retire completely from like work. As long as you're retired from PERA, yeah, you can start collecting a benefit. I hope that makes sense. All right. What if you retire and start collecting your benefit, but then decide to go back to work very part-time? Does your PERA benefit stop? Well, Michelle, so working after retirement is a very special conversation because it only affects your PERA benefit if you go over the allotted number of hours that you're allowed to work for a PERA covered employer. So if you work for like Amazon or Google, or maybe you want to go deliver or drive Lyft or work for any private sector employer, you don't have any rules. You can collect your benefit and work as much as you want. Okay, but if you work for a PERA covered employer, that's where the rules come into play. Every retiree can work up to 110 hours per year for a PERA covered employer, given that they're not working in their first month of retirement. So that first month you retire, take the time off. And then after that, you can work 110, I'm sorry, not hours, 110 days in the calendar year. So those are the rules for working after retirement. And you can still collect your benefit, your PERA retirement benefit, while you're working for your PERA covered employer. You're just limited to 110 days per calendar year. And I'm actually going to share a retirement, working after retirement booklet with you guys, because there are some other rules that apply, especially like, I know that we have, there's some special rules for like cafeteria workers and things like that. So let me put this in the chat, just in case anyone is planning on working after retirement. I want to make sure that you have the information you need, because it can affect your retirement benefit and you can be penalized if you go over that time frame. So let me get that for you. All right, and here's the booklet. You can just click on it and download it. This is also on our website, and there's a whole slew of working after retirement information on our website as well. Oh, sorry about that. All right, so I have another question on working after retirement. And it is 110 days, or how many years can you work 110 days? So I believe right now the limit is 5 years, but legislation always changes that. So it can change at any time. Right now there's a 110-day limit for 5 years, but I'm sorry. But that could change at any time. So yeah. I know for rural school districts and stuff like that with the critical shortage, they actually have a limit of 6 years without a reduction. So there are some exceptions to the rule, which is why you really want to check out that booklet and see, you know, where kind of like where you fall and what your current situation is. But that's where we're at right now anyway.
Can we just rely on our PERA benefits to get us through retirement, or should we be doing additional saving?
That's a great question. So your retirement benefit is part of your overall retirement income. But if any of you lived through the last year with me, you know that inflation has really eaten away at a lot of people's incomes. And this especially affects retirees. So what we actually do suggest is that you do consider, if you can afford it, of course, we don't want to put anyone in any situations where they, you know, may have to depend on every penny, but a PERA Plus 401k or 457 plan is a great way to help protect yourself in retirement from things like inflation or the rising cost of healthcare. We hear a lot of retirees say that they're so surprised at how much their healthcare costs in retirement and how much it's eating away at their monthly benefits. And so opening a 401k to cover a lot of that stuff in retirement can really be helpful. So that's my 2 cents on that. If you can, with as little or as much as you can, just open a 401k or 457, stuff a little bit of money away just to help you mitigate those risks when you do reach retirement.
And what's the advantage of doing it through PERA versus through like a third party or like Edward Jones or some other, you know, investment company?
Well, so a 401k or 457 are employer-sponsored plans, so you wouldn't be able to open them outside of your employer. The advantage to you guys, though, is it comes directly out of your paycheck. You can set a dollar amount or a percentage up to come out of your regular pay. It is tax deductible, so it'll reduce the taxable income the IRS sees, which means you're not paying them as much money. And then the taxes aren't actually due until you go to take those funds out later at retirement. And also, since we are a nonprofit, PERA is a nonprofit, we're able to negotiate lower fees than like an Edward Jones or a Fidelity if you open an IRA with them. Another benefit is you're actually able to contribute more to a 401k than you can an IRA. I think an IRA for this year, you can only contribute $6,500 to a 401k. It's $22,500 a year. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but that's the advantage is you're able to just contribute more money and it comes directly out of your paycheck. So you don't have to think about it. If you get a raise and you did a percentage, you'll know that that percentage will follow your raise.
another person join, so maybe they have a question, but maybe if we can stick on here a couple more minutes, just in case.
Yeah, sure. And if you guys do have any questions after today, you can always log on to the website. Once you log in, all of your information is preloaded. And you can also call customer service. I'm actually going to put their number in the chat for you guys. They can actually access your account and go through it with you, which is really helpful. If you do have any questions, or yeah, I'm glad you think so, Candy. I think it is really helpful as well. We are coming out with an app soon. Stay tuned. So if you're interested in doing things from your phone like me, we're definitely working on it, but our website is more mobile friendly right now. We've actually made some changes recently, so. Roxana says, when should you file your paperwork for retirement? You can actually start filing that retirement paperwork 60 to 90 days before your effective retirement date. So we give you that time to get it in so that not only you have time to get all of your paperwork done, but your employer also needs to submit your 6-month salary report. And sometimes that can take a little bit of time, but 60 to 90 days, you can start filling that paperwork out. And we do have a retirement process webinar if anybody is getting ready to retire. And it goes over not only the paperwork that you guys would need, but all of the optional forms that really make your life in retirement a lot easier, like tax forms and electronic funds deposit and stuff like that, that we don't really think about in the moment, but just to really make everything easier. So if you are closer to retirement, about 1 to 2 years out, I went ahead and put that link in the chat. It's really informative. We talk about everything retirement and go over all of those pieces of paperwork really in depth. So it's really helpful. Any other questions out there? I know this was short. I wanted to just leave like most of the time open for questions from you, which is why I didn't go over the whole presentation that's an hour long. Usually it can be a little dry, and I just really wanted to come and answer the questions that you guys had in particular. So I hope you guys got what you needed out of it. If not, you can always reach out to us. We love talking to our members.